Coconut Harry. Are you the original Coconut Harry, or was there one before you?
I'm the original Coconut Harry.
The original Coconut Harry is inside the house. Before we talk about the Coconut Harry of today, I want to talk about who you used to be way back in the day. What did you do for a living, and how long did you do it?
U.S. World. I was a salesman. I sold beakers and bottles and burettes and balances and stuff for laboratories. Like you take in a science class, okay? But I sold to Anheuser-Busch, and I got a lot of free beer selling to those guys. And sold to Philip Morris, making cigarettes, although I don't smoke. They gave me a carton of cigarettes every week. And I wore a tie. I had a tie or a suit or a sport coat on and leather shoes. And that was back in another century. And I don't even have the clothes I had back then. I don't even own a pair of long pants anymore. I don't have a pair of closed-in shoes anymore. So anyhow, that was young Harry. Now you're looking at old Harry. So here I am.
We like old Harry better anyway.
Yeah.
So tell us, when did you find Nosara? How did you find it? And then after that, explain how the Virginia Beach crowd got so sticky here. I'm real interested in hearing that.
All right. So I was taking some surf trips. I'd been to Hawaii several times, and it's a long way from the East Coast. And then one of my buddies came to Costa Rica, and we started reading about it in Surfer Magazine, Costa Rica. And
what year was this?
This was 1992 when he came.
So right about the Endless Summer 2 was just about to launch.
Yeah, something like that. And so I came to Costa Rica, came to Jaco in 92, and then I found Nosara in 1995. And ended up buying a bungalow here, 2-room bungalow. And I was coming back and forth with either I had an ex-wife, my wife, ex-wife now, girlfriends, and surfer buddies of mine from Virginia Beach. And I probably brought a half a dozen of them here.
So a couple times a year, you just come back?
Times a year. And then when I wasn't here, I would let them stay in my bungalow, these guys from Virginia Beach. Okay. So that's how all these guys started coming.
Because that contingent's still here.
They're still here. I bought the land from the surf shop. That was 1995, but I bought the land for the surf shop in 1999. After looking for a couple of years, a lot came up for sale. I bought it. And I had the shop built. And I had so many people from Virginia Beach bringing me stuff, helping me get started. They brought all the stuff in, and somehow I got the thing open.
It's funny your inventory came from your friends in the States.
I bought used boards. They'd come visit a surf, and I wouldn't let them leave till they sold me their surfboard. Sometimes you have to sell me your trunks, all your wax, give me the wax. I mean, I bargained with them. I said, you got the free place to stay. You got to give me something back now, So anyhow, I was able to get a little something started and opened up the surf shop, Coconut Harry's, November 1st of 2001. That was, for you young people, that was 6 weeks after 9/11, which was a tragedy. And that's not a good time to open up a surf shop or retail anything. Nobody came to Nosara till about February of 2002. So
that's ironic. The first time I went to Coconut Harry's was in 2002.
Yeah. People started coming in 2002. And anyhow, I had one or two employees at the time, and I had a guy that was a local guy here, a German dude named Gunther, and he rented quads, and he helped me out because his Spanish was pretty good because he was married to a local lady. And so he helped me getting some employees and helped me get stuff done. So my Taco Bell Spanish got me through first couple of years. And after being here 25 years, my Spanish has now risen to, I'd say on a good day, sub-kindergarten.
Right.
These kids 5 and 6 years old, they look at me funny, because their Spanish is better than mine. But hey, all my employees wanted to learn English. So
yeah, that's interesting.
I didn't have any gringos working for me. I had a lot of them wanted to. I said, you can't do that. You're not supposed to work here. And so I hired all Ticos, and at one point I had 6, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. They all came from the town, the Pueblo, but they all wanted to learn English, which was good. And I didn't mind teaching them English, and to the best of my ability, I taught them English.
Do you look back on those days?
They didn't reciprocate and teach me Spanish. So that's why I'm an idiot now in Spanish.
Well, hey, do you look back on those days with fondness? Was that a real special time?
It was a lot of fun. I tell you what, sometimes I would go to sleep at night and I had no air conditioning, bugs flying around, scorpions walking on me. And I'm going, what the hell have I got myself into now? I said, but hey, I'm the only one that's going to get hurt by it. I didn't borrow any money. It was all my money that I did to start the place with. And I said, it'll either make me or break me.
Yeah, interesting.
So
when did the hair get long, and when did this version of Harry fully surface?
Well, he was always under the radar. He's always there.
I've seen pictures of the short-haired guy in a tie.
Well, the short-haired guy worked for the man. He had to work for the establishment in the States. And so they frowned on anybody that had long hair over their ears. Unless you were a woman, you couldn't have. But anyhow, once I didn't have to pay for haircuts, I quit paying for haircuts. So hair got long. I'm too cheap to put suntan lotion on, so I just burned myself up and have stay hydrated though. You gotta. This stuff will keep you young. Where's the camera? Over here.
They're everywhere.
And they're everywhere. So. People said, well, you look young for 69 years old. I go, I owe it all to Pilsen.
Pilsen's your secret.
Yeah, Pilsen's the secret.
Nice.
Only drink 300 or 400 a day.
All right. So before we get to your 300 or 400 Pilsens a day that you're doing currently, a lot of stuff I want to hit you up about. The Virginia Beach contingent, really, so that came from you just letting people stay at your house and come hang out.
Well, a lot of them stayed at my house, but once they got here, they could find other places to stay. Mm. And some people came that knew I was here, that had a surf shop. I don't know whether they came to see how I was doing or to see if I was going to fail. I think some of them were going to watch my place burn down maybe. But
or catch a few waves along the way.
I had so much fun. I was able to surf, and I met so many people, not only from Virginia Beach coming here, but Florida, New York, California. Mostly these people on the coast obviously came. So
yeah, you're right. Florida, California seemed like the strongest. A little Carolinian
some
connection,
North Carolina,
and then Virginia Beach.
There's a lot of a lot of them from Virginia Beach came because I was, and I'd come back and show them pictures. And hey, this is what I've got, and of course the pictures always look good. I shaved, and I looked like I knew what I was doing. And, I'd get somebody to take pictures of me surfing, and out of 100, I'd pick the one that looked like I knew what I was doing. The other 99 get rid of, and then use this one picture where I got lucky and caught a wave. And so these guys would come down, and guys like Jamie Schwartz came.
Shout out Jamie.
Jeff McNeil. And he brought his son, he brought his son down here, and his two sons came actually. And other people that all around Virginia Beach.
So
came.
many. Civitar, all
Long,
those guys. Dave Long.
And his son Austin came down.
New people. Jim Ewing, who just came down.
Jimbo's here.
From back there. So let's move into surfboards. What boards were you riding back then, and what boards are you riding today?
Well, I started out on longboards and fun boards.
What's a perfect longboard wave?
It's a great longboard wave.
Or to learn... Let's pause on this. I want to talk about this while you're here. Because some people think of a longboard as just because it's easy to stand up on and ride it. And then some people think of a longboard as in, hey, that's an art, moving up and down and all around the board. That's not just standing there.
Yeah.
So when you say that you longboarded, you're a pretty good surfer. I'm guessing you didn't just longboard and stand there. I'm guessing you actually moved around.
Well, I moved around, especially when I fell off. I didn't walk the nose. Now, people watching this podcast might know my friend Bobby Chenman. He comes down here.
Heck yeah, Bobby's here this last week.
Yeah, Bobby was just here, and he can ride a nose longer than most people can stay on the wave. That's how good he is. And so and there's other good longboarders around, and it's these guys that have that kind of style that I've always admired, because it's not just longboards are used for beginners because it's stable platform, it's forgiving, it's floatable, and you can catch a wave on it. But really good longboarders are just as good as shortboarders because it's the style they incorporate.
Yeah. So what was yours? Did you just use longboard to get to funboard to fish to shortboard?
Yeah. Well, I surf mostly a fish now because this is for an old man. It's if you want to surf a short board, a fish is a good board for on this wave.
You told me one time when we were in the water, It was perfect for longboarding. And I was like, Carrie, what are you doing? We should be nose riding right now. And you said it hurts your back to bring the longboard out. And at the time, that didn't make any sense to me. Fast forward 6-7 years, I've got a bad back. And now I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you swing a longboard around, it's a lot of weight. And if you swing that around, if you got to go under a head high or bigger wave that's breaking on top of you, then you're dealing with a longboard and it's going to wrestle your back. The smaller the board, the little easier it is to deal with in those conditions.
So fishes became kind of your thing.
Yeah, and thanks to guys like Corey Bowman, who now lives in California, but he was from New Smyrna Beach. He introduced me to a fish type board, and then Monty Murphy is another one. Monty was on longboards when he came here, and he got down to short boards, and he rides a little fish as good as anybody in this town. So Monty's another one that helped me, and Monty helped me pick out some fish type boards.
He's fun to talk about surfboards with too. I enjoy that.
And I bought the 2 fish boards I own right now and surf on. I bought them in 2007, thanks to Monty 13 years ago. I still have them.
Twin fins or quads?
Twin. One's a twin and one's a quad.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's the surfing thing for me has just been an evolution, and I was in the East Coast Surfing Championships a couple of times. Didn't do all that well. Good guys that had surfed all their lives. I mean, I didn't even get on a surfboard till I was about 16 or 17. And then I went to college and couldn't surf. I was in a landlocked college. So anyhow, when I got down here,
got you though.
When I got down here, the lifestyle got me. When I got down here and I could surf every day, and back in those days, I could surf twice a day. People would say, well, how much do you surf? Now, I was a lot younger back then. I'd say, well, 3 hours in the morning. I'd try to get an hour and a half at night. 4 and a half hours a day. You don't need another workout.
That's right. That's right.
So
now, how were the crowds back then compared to now?
Well, a lot less people there. And I remember the first guy I saw here was a guy named Les Shaw, but he went by Manos, which in Spanish is Les.
Shout out to Manos.
And I tried to make friends with him, and he didn't. He was one of the 4 guys out surfing. And one day I looked out there, and so I walk out there, and I'm number 5, and he's all ticked off because now there's 5 guys in the water. Now there's 500. But anyhow, the crowds have picked up. But it's a beautiful place to come to. There's beautiful homes here. There's all levels of rentable properties, so you can stay in hostels. You can bum a couch from somebody, or you can stay in $500 a night place.
That's changed in the past 10 years because it used to be. Remember when you still had mermaids back in the day?
Yeah.
And that was on like the higher end of the rental spectrum for a while.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting just to see how the town's evolved. It's become popular. And when you and I first met, this place wasn't popular at all. You only came here if somebody told you to, for the most part, or you brought someone down, or you told them about it. And then the magazines and then newspapers and everything got a hold of it. And now people come in and they don't surf, they don't do yoga. They might think it's kind of cool.
Well, back then, and 25 years ago, it was backpackers, yoga people, and poor surfers. I mean, money poor. People didn't have a lot of money that came here, and there really wasn't any real high-end places to stay anyhow.
Yeah, there's a lot of camping, right? So
there was camping on the beach, and people drove vans in here and slept in the vans, and you could drive on the beach and all this stuff, but there weren't many people here back then.
So you couldn't get in. It was really hard.
Yeah, it was. So it's evolved a lot since then, but that is kind of speaks to the value of this community, is that more people came because it got better. The housing conditions, the internet showed up. Oh wow, we got internet. Yeah, it's 2 mega. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means
cell phones and internet were
cell
big
phones
deals.
And internet, and it was just things. The power went out. If it didn't go out 6 times a day, you were wondering why, because it was usually 5 or 6 times a day the power went out. No clock ever was on time. No electric clocks didn't work. Your watch worked. It was the only way you could tell time. And now it's changed. And in 25 years, the road still is paved. So
one thing's still the same.
One thing's still the same. Anybody out there in TV land watching this, the road's still the same. Come on back. There's still a little bit of dust. If you're missing the dust, we still have it. Come on back.
Yeah, if you like dust, this is a good place to go. No, seriously though, as far as today goes, you still come here and seem to enjoy it. There's a smile on your face, and you keep coming back, even with the crowds. Talk about that, because some people say it's all gone. Some people say, no, it's still pretty good. I want to know where you're at on that.
Well, I come back. I don't live here full time. I live here about 4 months out of the year now. And what I do is come back and visit. I sold my surf shop to a fellow named Steve Ryer, who's a good guy.
Shout out to Steve.
He's actually run that surf shop longer than me. And he's a good guy. And I come back to see people like him and people like Rich Burnam.
I don't know who that guy is.
And my Virginia Beach friends and my Florida friends that live here. I ran into Andrew yesterday surfing with his wife. And it's just, you see these people, Christoph, you see people like him. I enjoy, we're friends. And they come from all walks of life. I got my Holland friend over here filming everything, right?
Etienne.
It's international friends. It's international friends here. So you come back.
That's true.
And I moved in 2007 after I sold my surf shop. I moved from Virginia Beach down to Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And people ask me. That's where I'm from. And Rich is from. A lot of guys that are around here are from North Florida. And people ask me in Virginia Beach, they go, well, how do you like living in Florida? I said, I love it. And they go, well, I said, it's not touristy. North Florida's not touristy. It's a great seafood and all that. And I said, I can get to Costa Rica. I can leave at 7 o'clock in the morning and be there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, what, anybody can come for a week, come for 3 days, come for 3-4 months like I do. And I come down here and see all my friends. I get in that warm water, sand bottom, no rocks, no sharks. The only thing you got to worry about is that guy, Coconut Harry, out of control on his surfboard after he's had too many of these.
But the vibe's still pretty good.
The vibe's great. And people can come down and rent, like I say, all different price points. And
that's definitely changed. So these are some of your likes. Fill me on some of your dislikes of today's Nosara. Well, and hey, you can't say nothing or I'm going to fuss at you. You got to just be real. You can say it. It's okay. People want to know the reality of the situation.
I would just say probably the biggest thing to me, and it's probably the dust from the roads. Okay, that'd be the biggest thing, because I think the community, I think the government, and I'm not sure because I can't vote and I don't really know what's going on. But I've traveled around this country and I've seen other roads in much less populated areas have full pavement, and we have none here. And when I read about how Costa Rica values life and values conservation, yet they allow this road to stay unpaved for all these years. And I know they're getting the tax money out of this community, because if you're in business here, you know what you pay in taxes. There's a 13% sales tax, and then there's real estate taxes, there's corporation taxes, there's taxes on taxes on taxes, and everybody pays them.
Why is the road so bad?
And so why is the road bad? I mean, everybody's scratching their heads. And so I
think we've done 4 podcasts on this subject.
But that's
at this point.
You asked me what I thought was
So dust, that's a really good one.
That's the main thing. Other than that, I mean, maybe the same things I see anywhere else. I run into rude people around the world. I've run into rude people here. Do I like them? I don't have to deal with them. So I just, I walk away.
Hey, what about the way the town's growing? Because from when you first found it to where it is now, you've had a lot of development. Maybe not like a city, but it's development for us. Do you think it's growing in a good way, a bad way? Like, what's your opinion on how the houses are forming and the businesses are coming up?
Well, compared to other places that I've been to, other tourist places in Costa Rica, I don't want to speak to non-tourist places. I'm talking about tourist places I've been to. I think the Nosara, Guiones area has been controlled growth, or better controlled growth of these other areas. There's some pockets here and there that are kind of busy, but I've seen whole towns out of control and on the beaches. And I like Nosara, I like Guiones, because there's nothing really built on the beach. I see most of the people around here they're conservationists. They don't throw trash. When there's trash, people pick it up. I see this positive vibe about the environment here and the neighborhood and the in the area. So it's a good thing. I think it's controlled growth here.
Gotcha. So you feel it's doing pretty good comparatively speaking.
I'm going to take a sip of beer. Excuse me.
Yeah, man. No worries. So let me ask you this. Keep rolling. What are your 3 favorite waves in Costa Rica as a whole?
Well, Guiones has been my favorite because it's a softer breaking wave. Unless it's 15 feet and you happen to be caught under the lip trying to get out, that's not fun. But all in all, it's a soft breaking wave. I've been to Carmenal. It's a little faster wave. And Ostianal is a faster wave. So both those other ones, Carmenal and Ostianal, are within 30-minute driving distance from here. Fairly easy to get to, and give you some different kind of surfing. There's Marbella a little bit further up the coast. Playa Negra's not too far.
But out of all those waves, Guiones is still
I like Guiones.
It's your top number one?
Out of mine, yeah, because of the shape of the wave and the consistency.
Yeah. and for each tide, too. It makes sense that you'd like Cameron because it's a little softer wave. Unless it's a hard south swell, then it can rock there.
Well, you got a sandy bottom here in Guiones. It's a big beach, so although there's a lot of people here, it can accommodate a lot of people.
It's true.
And to credit the surf schools, there's a lot. When I first started, there were 1 or 2 surf schools. There's the Corky Carroll School run by Rick Walker, who's a friend of mine, and then there was me, and then there was Nosara Surf Shop run by Mike Rourke, and he had P.O. working for him back then. And P.O. is still teaching surf lessons to this day, one of the best. And I remember back then meeting a guy named Nelson Acosta. I didn't know his last name. Nelson had been a gardener. Nelson ended up coming to work for me as a surf instructor and is one of the best. Back then, 25 years ago, he couldn't speak a word of English. He could say hello. Now, Nelson speaks better English than most gringos I know.
Yeah, that's true.
He's actually looking for a job in real estate sales. You might want to consider him.
That's so funny. We did a podcast with Nelson recently, and actually, I guess it's last year by this time, and he gave you a lot of credit for that first job and letting him have a shot.
Yeah, he learned English, and there's the Ticos that I have met. I got to say, most everybody I have met in this community I can consider friends of mine. And I've had flat tires. I've been walking on the road, and I've had gringos go flying past me. Not the first Tico truck or car or motorcycle that comes by offers to pick me up walking. Now, who are your real friends? So I've made friends in this town. I've tried to, I paid everybody fairly when they worked for me. I've paid for hundreds of beers at the fiestas for people that work for me and for people I don't even know.
Hey, what's your best fiesta story while we're on that?
The first one I went to in 2002, I think it was January, February, there was a fiesta, and I went to it, and the lady that's still working at Coconut Harry's, Melissa, who was my number one woman working for me there, she was running as the queen of the fiesta, the queen of the rodeo, folks. And so I went to support her. And I got to this fiesta, and I had a couple of too many Pilsens, and one of the local guys, a funny guy, his name Correa. Correa convinced me, he lives over in Pilata. Correa convinced me to get in the ring with a bull. Now, this is a live bull, folks. I don't know, it weighs a couple of tons. And I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, I wasn't thinking. And I got in that ring, and I had a red tank top on, and nobody else had red on. I'm looking around. Well, then that bull took one look at me and started running towards me, and I had flip-flops on. I turned, and I ran up the side of that wall, and I could hear that bull hitting right behind me. Smack, 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 right? And the Ticos were all laughing. And they said, "You got red, Torontos, red. Camiseta red, rojo, rojo, something." And I said, "This is my bad Spanish." He said, "You don't want to wear red in the bull ring." So I made it out. Needless to say, it's the last time I got in a bull ring. I survived it once. I don't need to do it again.
That's a pretty good story.
That was my best fiesta.
That's a really good story. All right, tough question. What are your 3 favorite restaurants in no particular order?
Well, no particular order. That's hard because...
Unless you want to do an order. It's up to you.
Well, I don't... No, because I visit them all, but I I don't know. I'll just say where I go more frequently. I don't know if they're the best for everybody, but I like.
This is about you, man.
Well, okay. I like Marlin Bills.
What do you like to get at Bills the most?
I get the broiled Dorado with the mashed potatoes and the grilled veggies. It's the best, I think, in Guiones, possibly all of Central America, maybe even the planet.
Shout out
kid
to
Bill, I like your Dorado. And I go to La Dolce Vita.
Dolce Vita, okay.
Yeah, I like Roberto's ambiance there, and he's a cool guy, and you always get a good meal there. And
what do you like to get the most?
Well, I just get spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti and meatballs?
You know, he laughs. Why don't you try something real? I said, well, this is what I grew up on, spaghetti and meatball. So I get the best spaghetti and meatballs I ever had.
Does he ask you for some pecorino?
I don't even, probably.
It's the cheese that he comes
over.
Yeah,
the cheese, the grated cheese. Yeah, get the grated cheese on my spaghetti and meatballs. So, Roberto, thank you for a great spaghetti and meatballs.
Nice.
And the wine helps, too. Thank you. On the third place, I don't know. I like just soda Rosie's, or Rosie's soda, as the gringos would say. And consistent food. I've known Rosie for a long time, and she and her husband put out a good plate of food. It's fairly priced. All the ladies that work for her are cool. They all know me. So, those are the three places probably I go eat the most.
Some good choices, man.
I drink beer at a lot of places around here, though. So even if you don't serve food, I'm drinking your beer.
So you're an equal opportunity beer consumer.
I like to, I'm on Social Security. I'm 69 years old. I spread the wealth. I don't want to just let everybody have the one check I get once a month. I got to spread it out. Speaking
of check, in the past, we've done some real estate deals together, and I want to thank you for your trust and opportunity and stuff. It's been fun, and some of my best friends and even partners on ventures came through our transactions and how wacky they were, and talking back and forth. And you were never a typical seller of kind of yes or no, black or white. You always were willing to look into the deal and try to find a way to make it work. Let me talk to the guy, see what's going on. Very unconventional, but I'm very grateful now.
Well, I've found most of the realtors in this town, whether they're at Surfing Nosara or the other realtors, are fair guys. They're people ask me, what do you think about these guys? What do you think about those guys? And I said, they're all down here trying to make a dollar. They like living here. They have families. They're not going to cheat you. They want you to enjoy your purchase. And they earn their commission by walking you through the process. And it's not the same as in the United States. This is Spanish law down here. So I advise people, don't try to do it on your own unless you've done it before. If you haven't done it before, get the guys at Surfing Nosara or your other favorite realtor to help you.
You've pulled off some good transactions, and you're always up to something, whether it's stocks or whether it's whatever. You always have something funny to say about that. But I'm going to jump the conversation over into something a lot of people know you for. And I'm going to ask you this. Who's going to win the U.S. presidential election for 2020?
Well, like I said, I didn't wear my MAGA hat, but
and the question was, who do you think is going to win?
In my opinion, what I read, and for the job that he's done so far, like him or hate him, and I don't like everything he does, and he's a loudmouth, but I like what Trump has been trying to do, and if he gets another 4 years unimpeded by all these investigations and accusations and impeachments, and get rid of all that, and people get behind him a little bit, and he gets some bilateral support, I think there's greater things to come to the United States. In return, will translate to greater things to resort properties in other countries. Because if you're making some money, the employment rates are down, people are making more money, they'll come. And again, I'll have people watch this and they'll go, oh, yeah, I knew he was going to say Trump. I said, I don't agree with everything he says. And some of the other candidates on the other side, I do agree with some of the things they say. So
on the Democratic side, who do you think is going to get the nomination? That's where we're at right now. I think
Joe Biden is going to get. I think he is, because he's the most mainstream out of all the candidates, and I think he will.
Do you think he should?
I don't know that he should, but you get what you work for.
All right. You said that he's the most mainstream, and that seems like a pretty accurate statement. Who do you think has the best chance of beating Trump, though, from their side?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to get beat. The best chance would be whoever gets the second most votes, because I think Trump's going to win again. And I think there's a lot of people that don't wear hats, that aren't vocal about it, don't put things on Facebook, don't talk about it, but just sit there and quietly vote for what they think works best for them. And I suggest to everybody, young or old, register to vote and vote for who you think is going to be doing the best for you.
The career politicians, you're really just beholden to all the people who got you to where you are, and you can't make great drastic change.
Well, Joe Biden was vice president during Obama's presidency, and there was a lot of things I didn't agree with under Obama's presidency, but I didn't riot. I didn't go down. I didn't burn. I didn't go deface buildings. I didn't drag down statues. I didn't go tell people, get in their face.
You didn't have a mourning period because Obama got elected?
Yeah, well, that was the way that, I was on the losing side. Okay. And it was a legal, lawful election. He got elected twice. So I lived 8 years under Obama and Joe Biden. So Joe Biden had his chance. And the other thing I don't like is the stories, and nobody's denying it, but his son got kicked out of the Navy for doing some things he shouldn't have been doing, been involved with some spurious businesses. He's getting paid a lot of money for some Ukraine gas seat, board of directors. He knows nothing about gas except maybe flatulence. And, had reports that he has a baby by another woman and this, that, and the other. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I just think is in Joe Biden's closet that's not going to allow him to win. And believe me, the Trump side's going to bring it all out.
Oh, man. Boy, that gets ugly. I hate
it's going to be ugly.
I hate visiting the U.S. during election years.
Yeah. You can't watch TV. It's all commercials.
It's tough.
Yeah. And billboards and everything.
Just
radio.
Recycling the same story
over and over.
That's a mess. You think aliens exist?
Well, you're looking at one.
Besides you?
Look at me. I'm the only one that looks like me.
There is only one coconut Harry. Yeah. That's a fair point.
Yeah, I was hatched, 69 years ago.
All right, so things outside of out of Earth floating around up there. Do you think there's something or no? I have a degree in biology, so a science background. And like I said earlier, I sold laboratory supplies all my life, or my business life, 25 years. So I need proof that things work. But when I look at the pyramids and I look at some of these Mayan, writings and some of the math and stuff that these ancients came up with, and it's hard for me to believe that they didn't have help from somebody that came passing by. I mean, we might just be a speck in a huge fishbowl, just a speck that nobody's found yet. I mean, imagine looking in the Pacific Ocean and looking for a marble. And maybe that's the world, a marble in the Pacific Ocean, and nobody's found us yet, except some guys happened upon us that had more intelligence, 1,000 years ago. So you're going to go with you can't say with certainty until you scientifically can document it, but you do think there's a possibility.
Well, when I look at guys like Pat Reen, and I look at guys like
shout out to Pat,
and my friend John Coons, the late John Coons, and guys like that, some of those guys are not from this world, and Pat, just kidding, and John, I know you're up there in heaven watching me. I love you. You get me 10 times, I only get you once. And
hey, give us your best Pat story.
Well, Pat's got a lot of stories.
I know. I just want to hear one good one.
I'd have to think, off the cuff. Well, I'll tell you a good story. He got my place at 506. He bought my place from me at 506 for $25,000 less than I paid for it. So he's got to be a good businessman. There you go. You got me, Pat. You got me. You got me by $25,000. but he's a good guy. And if you ever think you can't surf, and you wake up with aches and pains and a headache, then you're drinking too much Pilsen, and you got to go down and look at Pat surf at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because if he's not one of the first, he's one of the first guys out in the water, and he surfs for 2-3 hours every day.
And he'll walk from here.
Yeah.
We're recording. We're at 5:06.
You think you're too old? You're going to be kicking yourself in the butt when you go down and see that old man out there on a shortboard.
I put on my YouTube page, I think it was last year or the year before, or maybe Surfing Nosara. I can't remember. But I put up there Pat on a killer wave, and just as inspiration for people to see. It's like, hey, don't say you can't. Look at what this guy's doing.
Quiet guy, doesn't talk much in the water, but a wealth of knowledge. So if you're fortunate enough while you visit or while you live here to be friends with Pat Reen, you can get a lot of knowledge from a guy like that. People older than you have knowledge.
And shout out to Pat. He was a counselor back in his former life, and he offers to do counseling here for free. All he wants is a community donation.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. So shout out to Pat.
He gives back. He pays it forward.
All right. If there was anyone that you could talk to around this area in Nosara, you can know them or not know them, anyone that you're going to have a coffee with or a beer with or lunch or breakfast or something, who would that person be?
I'll have a beer with anybody buying. In fact, I'm about out now, Rich.
I guess
you got a cold one back there somewhere?
I need to requalify the question. So, assuming that you're going to have lunch with somebody or breakfast, anyone that has anything to do with Nosara, who would that be?
Again, I'm when it comes to sitting down and eating and talking to people, I'm apolitical. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I don't like getting in arguments, so I just, stay my side. But I enjoy a good meal with friends, and I meet people sitting around these places I named, like Marlin Bill's and Rosie's Soda and La Dolce Vita and the other restaurants and bars I go to. I meet people. And no, I can't think that there's one person that be my favorite. One person that puts up with me is Kathy King. And so.
Good answer.
Yeah. She puts up with me. I don't know why, but she does. And she's a great cook. So we eat a lot of stuff at home. We eat meals at home. And when we go out, she always dresses nice and looks good. And she's a great conversationalist. So she has a lot of friends in this community. So we have a lot of fun, and I've met a lot of friends through her.
Are you guys enjoying traveling?
Yeah. We just got back from Colombia. We spent about 2 weeks in Colombia. We visited Cartagena and Bogota and San Andres, the island. Mm-hmm. Beautiful places. And the people were nice, and visited the historical places and went to gold museums and traveled and, hit the duty-free shops on the way back. And so I'm set with rum till I leave on May 1st. And but it's locked up. Any of you people watching this can't get to it. Anyhow, yeah, traveling a little bit more. Kathy's come to visit me in the States. We've been to Key West, and I went out to, she's from Santa Catalina Island, California. She's fifth generation. And I went out there and had a blast in Santa Catalina Island with her and her friends. And so, yeah, we traveled a little bit. And what it does, traveling gives me a week off from surfing, 2 weeks off from surfing. I get to heal. And I come back. I feel like I'm 16 again. And that ends after the first day. But,
I got you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Nosara's future?
I like it. I like what Nosara is doing. Some things are slow, like we talked about the dust, but it'll come. The road will come. And I like the way the building is. I think people are doing the right thing with the building for the most part. It's like every community is not perfect, but I think when people sit and talk and have a reasonable dialogue, and people that might be doing something that the community doesn't like, or they could do it a different way. And what I've noticed is a lot of people, especially the real estate agents, they can get people involved in conversations and things get done because they see a side that works for both people. Whether you're a buyer seller or whether you own property and somebody's adjacent to you, they can get involved. So I think Nosara's got a good history ahead of it. And I think I know I've had people come down here, and I know most of my friends that have invested. Now, I've been here a while, and I've done okay in my investments here, and this is not, I don't want to sit here and say, you know, it's guaranteed, because I don't want to say that. But I do want to say, if you pick the right property and, you know, it has the right location and you get the right price, you know, you're going to do okay in Nosara.
Doesn't seem like a bad place to put money.
It's a good place. It's a safe place. And the government's relatively stable. I say that the Costa Rican lifestyle, their people have one of the highest standards of living in Central America. So they didn't get that way by you know, giving away all the money. So there's infrastructure, and it gets better with the help of people coming in. So foreigners come here, and I mean by foreigners, you know, North Americans, Canadians, people from the Netherlands, the Germans, the French, the Italians, I don't want to leave anybody out, the Spanish, you know, the Asians come. People come and visit, and everybody lends something to this community. Don't bring the coronavirus, though, wherever you're coming from, please. What if you do? I might get stuck here for another 6 months. Well, maybe it's not a bad thing.
Maybe that works out in your favor.
It could work out in my favor.
It could. I guess we'll see. We'll find out on May 1st when you're supposed to fly back.
Yeah, I'm supposed to leave here on May 1st.
I appreciate you coming on. And before we go, is there anyone or any body in particular, or any group you'd like to give any shout outs for over the years, or anything you'd like to get off your chest while you have this platform?
You know, I think I've mentioned, I made a lot of friends, both gringos, anticos, and I've seen, one of the things I've seen is I've seen a lot of women get involved with surfing, and which is cool, because people talk, I see news, they talk about women's rights and all that. Here, these women they've picked it up. Your wife is one. Amy goes out there and surfs, and other women have gone out, and I've seen some of the local women start 12, 13, 14 years old. Richard Jordan's daughter is about 11 or 12 years old, and she's out there ripping right now. She's the next generation. So to me, just simply what I like is to see those people out there having fun. You know, I'll be gone. They'll still be around enjoying Nosara. It's a great community. And if you haven't had a chance to come visit, I'm looking at the camera, come visit. Come visit. Don't visit my bodega with my rum. You can buy a beer, you can buy a T-shirt and rent a surfboard from Coconut Harry's, and Steve will be able to help you buy a surfboard. But
they can find you on the beach, and you'll take care of them.
Find me on the beach. I'm in the guidebooks, and I'll be glad to give you an autograph. It might cost you a Pilsen, but I'll give you an autograph. Take a picture with me. Okay. Cost you a beer. And I've had a good time with the interview. Thank you, Rich.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here. It was good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
All right, bud.